Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. I am Lawrence Presman, and we are the best daily sports betting show on the planet. Tons of actionable information. Lots of bets coming your way. Bryan Leonard will be joining us. He's going to look at the first game in the doubleheader between Toronto and Baltimore. He's also going to take apart the New York Yankees at Philadelphia. Ross Benjamin after that. He's going to tell you exactly who to bet between the Mariners and the Red Sox and whether to go under or over between the Yankees and the Phillies. We're going to end the show with Andy Lang. He's got a UFC bet, a UFC fight card in Abu Dhabi, and a golf bet at the Olympics. So stay tuned all the way to the end. If you guys like what you're hearing, take a second out of your day. Please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. It would be greatly appreciated. 163,000 of you guys have already done it. Let's pick up another 1,000 today. No Teddy covers. I'm hosting this alone. Bryan Leonard, our first guest. How was your weekend, my friend?
Weekend was fine, and you haven't been around for a while. Where you been?
Don't say that. I don't want the bosses to know.
Well, they definitely know when you're not on the show.
Yeah, because it just isn't as good. Yeah, drug use. Oh, yes. We talk about Tylenol and Oxy all the time on this show. Bryan Leonard, I have been in and out, brother. I've been to Vegas 3 times, mostly to see the Grateful Dead, a band you don't like. As we all know, you're a hardcore Depeche Mode fan. Pet Shop Boys does it for you, and I think your favorite song might be by the Bronski Beat. With that said, let's get into some actionable information. We have a doubleheader between Toronto and Baltimore, and while the red-hot Blue Jays, winners of 3, a sweep of Texas, and a team that is finally scoring runs, is playing the Baltimore Orioles, 62-43 on the season. A sensational record, but a team that is in a bit of a tough spot. Look, it's a long season. They're all going to go through it. They've lost 5 of 7. And today, Baltimore finds themselves at -175 to -185. How are you betting this game?
Yeah, 2 games in the doubleheader today. And you got a Toronto team who is sending Yaro Rodriguez to the mound. He comes in with a 3.69 ERA, 1.26 whip. In 9 starts this year, he's only managed 39 innings. So the bullpen will likely be in play early. And that's not a good thing here for Toronto. And if you're a Toronto fan, you're very aware of their trading situation with the trade deadline ending tomorrow. They just traded away 2 of their key back-end relievers. And the expected starter for the bullpen, the closer, Jordan Romano, is out for the season. So that leaves Chad Green and a bunch of question marks here for Toronto. That is a concern here, especially when you're playing a doubleheader. There's also a lot of talk about cleaning house before the trade deadline tomorrow. So you got a lot of these guys wondering if they're even going to be Blue Jays players past tomorrow or not. It means even more for a Toronto team that plays in a different country than it does for the other teams in Major League Baseball. Whereas, obviously, and Prez knows this, the tax situation up in Toronto is a little bit different here than in the United States. So a lot of those guys got to worry about that. As was mentioned, Zach Eflin is the best starting pitcher that's been traded thus far. In fact, I think he's the only starting pitcher that's been traded thus far. A lot of relievers going out on the early market. Over the years, we found that betting on traded starters at the deadline has been a profitable subset. And it makes a lot of sense. A player goes from a non-contender to being in the playoff race. His old team thought he was expendable, while the new team saw something in him that could help them reach their goal. Eflin had a 4.09 ERA, 1.16 whip. His advanced stats show an expected ERA of 3.38, so he's better than his normal numbers. And he's in the 99th percentile in walk percentage. He never walks anybody. And the 87th percentile in chase rate. He gets you to swing at pitches out of the strike zone. That's a pretty good combination. We know he's going to be an upgrade here for the Orioles, and it'll be better for him because he's in more of a pitcher's park. The O's haven't performed very well lately offensively, so we do get a fair price here because of that. Baltimore's clearly the better team, and we know a more focused squad because they've been losing lately, as we pointed out. This is a series that Baltimore needs to take, and they really want to sweep this doubleheader. I think they get the first one.
Bryan, you mentioned that Baltimore hasn't been scoring lately. They just put up 8-4, 4-7, 3-3. And Toronto's bats are alive, and that's very rare, especially what we've seen this season. I like the over in this game. I know you made a lot of arguments, especially focusing on the pitchers, but I really feel like we're going to get a shootout. Any thoughts on the total?
If you were looking to play the over, I would prefer it in-game because I think both these starters are going to do a pretty good job. So if you're looking for something, go maybe after the first 4 innings, if there's a low scoring, maybe come in and play live because the bullpens have not been that great. In fact, Kimbrel's been pretty bad all season for Baltimore comparing his past. So both teams have problems with their back end of the bullpen. I would prefer the second half of the game to go over more than the first.
The New York Yankees, they're heading into Philadelphia. 2 teams that are just, from start to finish rolling. Philadelphia 65-40 on the year. The Yankees only 3 losses behind them, 62-45. Philly at home now is around -150. How are you betting this game?
You likely couldn't ask for a tougher scheduling spot here for the Yankees. Over the last 6 days, they faced their crosstown rival Mets, getting swept in the entire 4-game Subway Series, but those were 2 in the last 6 days. Then they faced their hated rival Boston, winning 2 of 3, with yesterday's game being the Sunday Night Baseball game. Now they travel to Philadelphia to face a team with the best record in the league, as you pointed out, after losing the series to the Guardians. And being a Cleveland fan, I really didn't expect Cleveland to perform nearly as well because they hadn't played well, especially offensively. And they go into Philadelphia, one of the best starting rotations in Major League Baseball, and they win 2 out of 3. Lewis Hill has been the talk of the town this season for New York, a talented 26-year-old who's been a late bloomer. His walk rate is still only in the 15th percentile, but it's much better than it was earlier in his younger career. He struggles also with a 27th percentile barrel rate. So the opposition hits him hard, and they do get extra base runners because of the walks. But despite those concerning numbers, he struck out 124 batters in only 107 in the 3rd innings of work. This is a guy in Hill who's had a great season, and I expect that to continue, although his innings will probably be limited in the second half of the year. Zach Wheeler, along with Paul Skeens and Chris Sale, are the leaders in the NL Cy Young Award race. He has a 2.55 ERA, 0.98 whip. His advanced stats show him to be better than league average in every category. He's in the 89th percentile or better in expected ERA, expected batting average, average exit velocity, hard hit percentage, and extension. He's been extremely good this year. And at home this season, Zach Wheeler has a 1.77 ERA, a 0.88 whip. To me, this is a great spot for the Phillies here at a reasonable number against a Yankees team who, if you go back and look at everybody they played this month, they're all been teams in the playoff race. They've had a really tough month of playing good teams, and it will end after they play Philadelphia to finish off the month.
Bryan, Ray D'Amico, one of our most loyal listeners, Ray, thanks for joining us. He likes over in this game. And, when you look at the stats, you can understand the argument. The Yankees just put up 8-11-7, 3-2-9, many games over 5 runs consistently. But this is one of those examples where you kind of get caught up in that and don't take into account that they're playing really a lights-out, shut-down pitcher in Zach. And when you look at Philadelphia, other than their 8th spot, this isn't a team that is rolling with the bat right now. Do you have any opinion on the total?
Yeah, they didn't play the best pitchers from Cleveland when they faced Cleveland. They still couldn't score. That's a concern there for the over. And both these pitchers are outstanding. So if you're looking to play the over here. It opened up, about the 9 range. It's in the 8.5 9 range right now. So it really hasn't moved much, maybe down a little bit, but good luck to you if you do. I don't have really an opinion in that regard.
Right. Bryan Leonard joining us, everyone. He's an exclusive handicapper at the best sports handicapping website on the planet, WagerTalk.com. Bryan, what do you have going for our clients today? And have you made any college football or NFL future bets that you might want to share?
Well, I have not made any future bets as of yet. I'm not completely done with all my work in that. I want to make sure I get everything correct before I start putting out plays. I don't handicap the preseason, which does start on Thursday, but we'll have plenty of football going on. These are my 2 best baseball plays so far today. I'll probably add more later on, but no need to buy. This is your payoff for having to put up with Prez and I for a few minutes here. You get my 2 best bets. You don't have to pay for those plays today.
Yeah, it's certainly more you. Bryan, listen, enjoy the flock of seagulls and Thompson twins later on.
I think the dead's opening up for them.
What?
I think the dead is opening up for them.
Yeah, no, Howard Jones. They're opening for Howard Jones.
I kind of like Howard Jones a little bit. Yeah.
He's touring. Yeah. Howard Jones, I think, is touring right now.
A whole bunch of them. It's not my type of music, but yeah, if you like that music, yeah, it's a pretty good tour package. Tiny two-tone, man.
Yeah, I know you're a hardcore Bronski beat guy. Bryan Leonard, everyone, love having you on. We'll see you next week. Kick ass, my brother.
Best of luck,
guys,
everybody.
before we bring Ross Benjamin on, I just want to make mention, Teddy does a segment, What Did Bettors Learn? I'm going to do a segment, What Do Tired People Learn? So I'm obsessed with Vikings Valhalla. It's on Netflix, and if you guys have never watched that show, it's really one of the best shows, maybe of all time. It's right up there with Spartacus season 1 and Banshee, and really, really rivals the first 3 seasons with Ragnar on Vikings and The Last Kingdom with Uhtred. All great, great shows. But Vikings Valhalla is one of my favorites, and season 3, which is the final season, 8 episodes, just came out last week, and I'm not sleeping. It was 10 past 3 on Saturday night, 10 past 3 a.m. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to watch 5 minutes of the next episode. Yeah, I didn't sleep. I went to bed at 4:00 in the morning. Don't start a show you love at 2 a.m. That's my What Did Tired People Learn? Because I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with violence on television. I don't know what to tell you. All of these violent shows I love so much. But if you guys have never watched Vikings Valhalla, it's only 3 seasons long. I think it's one of the best shows of all time, and it is over at the end of this season. Ross Benjamin is joining us. Hey, Ross, how are you? How was your vacation?
Hey, it was great. We went to a few Broadway shows that you would have loved, Prez, and also caught a Yankee game while I was there. But me and the wife caught COVID last week after we came back, and I'm still battling it a little bit, but it's much better than I was the last couple of days. But the show must go on, my man.
Well, look, my apologies, because honestly, and I speak for, 99.
Yeah, so we're going through technical difficulties here. So there's 2 games I'm going to cover today, and I'm going to get into my first one. And last week, folks, 5-0 with my free picks in Major League Baseball right here on WagerTalk TV, including 2-0 on last week's show. Let's start with the Yankees and the Phillies. And Bryan Leonard just covered that game. And as you well know, after listening to that segment, it'll be Luis Gil, for the New York Yankees on the mound, and also be Zach Wheeler for the Philadelphia Phillies. A very good starting pitching matchup. Gil went through a bit of a rough spot a few weeks back, and he seems to have righted the ship over his last 3 starts, where he's posted an excellent 1.53 ERA and 0.85 WHIP during that course of time. He'll be opposed by Zach Wheeler, and Wheeler's been good all year. He's especially been good over his last 5 starts, where he's recorded a 171 ERA and 088 whip. Wheeler also in 11 home starts this year, a 177 ERA. So again, this shapes up as a very good starting pitching matchup. Here's the thing, though. The Philadelphia bullpen has been just horrible in July. A 6.08 ERA and a very high home run per 9-inning rate in terms of giving up home runs per 9 innings pitched from the relievers. They've been giving up a lot of home runs in July. And the New York bullpen, their ERA is solid, and their whip has been solid over the course of July. However, their home runs per 9 innings pitched rate has been extremely high. I'm going to cut both bullpens out of the equation here, and I'm going to go with the New York Yankees and the Philadelphia Phillies to go under the total of 4.5 as a first 5-inning bet. That's the Yankees and Phillies under 4.5 as a first 5-inning bet. I don't know if we got, I don't think we have Prez back yet. So let me get into my second game on the board, and I'll be covering in that contest. We'll be looking at the game between the, bear with me one second here, folks, as I get my notes up. That game between the Seattle Mariners and the Boston Red Sox, a game that we played at Fenway Park. It'll be Logan Gilbert on the mound for Seattle. I really like Logan Gilbert. Man, has he been consistently good this year. And he'll be taking on Nick Pivetta in the Boston Red Sox. Pivetta's last 3 starts at home this year, a 7.98 ERA and a 177 whip. The Boston Red Sox bullpen is not going to be a lot of help for him because unless something drastically turns, because they've been absolutely brutal in July with a 6.39 ERA and a 169 whip. The Red Sox have lost 7 of their last 9 overall. Believe it or not, the Red Sox have been very good on the road, 30-22, but at Fenway Park, just 25-27. I mentioned Logan Gilbert, how good he's been all year. 2.72 ERA, 0.86 whip, and 21 starts in 2024. His last 3, he's been in terrific form with a 1.69 ERA and 0.56 whip, and he's averaged over 7 innings pitched per outing. Gilbert has seen 8 of his last 9 appearances result in quality starts. The Seattle bullpen in July has been extremely good, 2.74 ERA, 1.07 whip. And the Mariners have won 7 of their last 10 on the road. So they've been playing a lot better on the road, and they've been struggling at home. I just think it's a great spot for the Mariners, who have the better bullpen and the better starting pitcher in this matchup. So I am going to go with Seattle plus 105 over Boston as my second free pick. All right, so Steve Merrill has joined us. And Steve, I'm assuming you're filling in for Prez because he's had technical difficulties, so I'll let you take it away from here.
Yeah, the telegram from the north to the south has been screwed up, and I blame you, Ross Benjamin, because you're right on the border, from my understanding, in northern New York. So we're going to get this fixed out sooner than later. Hey, look, I was ready to roll, man. I've been flipping around between 3 channels because I've been thinking about this, Ross. I was on last Thursday and Friday with Teddy, and I didn't know there was golf. We had Andy Lang on, the prop master, and he told me there is golf in the Olympics. And I logged all the odds last week because I like to look back when I'm watching these events and see who was favored and whatnot. And then Teddy, of course, in Teddy fashion, goes, I'm not going to watch 30 seconds of the Olympics. Let's talk about some football. So I've been thinking about that because as I do every year, I get sucked into the Olympics. I was watching skateboarding live, women's live volleyball right now against China. Men's gymnastic finals are live. So anyway, I was ready to roll. I want to get your thoughts, though, before we get you out of here on the Red Sox and the Mariners. You know, the Mariners have been a very good pitching team all year. Their offense has been questionable. I think they could be dangerous in the postseason with that pitching rotation. But what are your thoughts on the Mariners going forward? Your thoughts on that AL West? Houston's kind of passed them. It looks like it's the Astros are the team to beat now.
Yeah, you know what? They made a nice trade to get a reason. I can't pronounce his name, and I don't want to butcher it. The kid from Tampa Bay who put up pretty good numbers, if I recall correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, But yeah, I mean, I certainly took that into consideration, Steve. They've been one of the worst hitting teams in all of baseball this year, and nothing has changed really over the month of July. But you got to look at the whole broader picture here, and I just think we have such a huge starting pitching edge with Logan Gilbert over Nick Pivetta, especially the way Pavetta's looked at home over his last 3 starts. In the Boston bullpen, they mentioned it on last night's broadcast, and the numbers bear it out, especially over the month of July. They're on an epically bad run in terms of their bullpen futility, in terms of franchise history over the last decade. So there's just it all adds up to me being a good value for Seattle, especially at just about even money here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. And with the new playoff format, too, every division winner has struggled the last few seasons. And I don't want to draw too many conclusions from like a small sample size, but I think last year the division winners were like, what was it, 1-9? I know my Orioles were 0-3. So, and it transitions to the next game I want to ask you about is your New York Yankees. You might be better off not winning the AL East. I think the Yankees and the Orioles are the 2 teams to beat. And Dan the Man, Philly fan Alexander, our producer, host of MLB First Pitch at 11 a.m. each weekday. His Phillies are running away with the NL East. This is a hell of a matchup tonight. Ross, what are you doing with the Yankees and Phillies game on Monday?
Yeah, I just went through this matchup, but I'll do it again for you because it's for Steve Merrill.
I was told you hadn't. Had I not been watching men's gymnastics and skateboarding, I could have gotten your insight.
It's on Prez.
It's a real quick. What did you do in this game? Just give me 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm going under the total of 4.5 in the first 5 innings here. I just think it's a great starting pitching matchup. Zach Wheeler has been in excellent form over his last 5. He's been tremendous at home all season long. Luis Gil for the Yankees. He went through a little bit of a rough patch there, but over the last 3 starts, he's really righted the ship. The problem is with Philly right now is their bullpen, and they've been terrible over the last 23 to 24 games. And the Yankees bullpen, if you look in the month of July, their numbers, Steve, their ERA and WHIP looks very good. But what bothers me is they have a very high home runs allowed per 9 innings pitched ratio. And when you're playing a team like the Phillies, and in the ballpark they're playing in tonight, which is a hitter-friendly ballpark, that scares me a little bit. So I'm going to eliminate the bullpens out of the equation and go under the total of 4.5 in the first 5 here, Steve.
Let me ask you this big picture on the way out here. Who do you like in the American League? Who do you like in the National League? Could this be a potential World Series preview?
Again, the Yankees, I like to bring in Chisholm over from Florida, but Miami, excuse me. But the bottom line is they still have holes in that lineup. The starting pitcher has to get back to where they were early on. So I'm not crazy about the Yankees' chances of getting to the World Series. The Phillies, on the other hand, between their starting rotation and the capability they have offensively, I really, out of the 2 clubs, I like their chances a hell of a lot more to get to the World Series than the Yankees. In terms of who comes out of the American League right now, I still think that Baltimore is going to right the ship. I think they have the ingredients between starting pitching, hitting, and bullpen to get it done in the American League. I like a Baltimore-Philly World Series right now as we speak. As you know, Steve, we still haven't got to the trade deadline yet. A lot could happen. And a lot of different things could occur over the last couple months of the season.
Yeah, I think right now it's Phillies, Dodgers, Yankees, Orioles are the cream of the crop. And a lot of other teams are going to be in contention. But I just wonder, Ross, what we've seen the last couple of years, I don't understand why you would have problems being the division winner and having a mini bye. But, it's been pretty extreme. And I'll get your thoughts on that real quick before we get out of here. Do you think there's a disadvantage to winning the division, or do you think that's just random short-term sample that doesn't maybe mean anything?
I just think it's a rarity more than the norm. And I know you said that it's last year especially it happened, and over the last 2 years we've seen it happen more so than we ever have. I just think it'll get back to the norm this year. There's never it's like, do you want to lose a game on purpose to get a favorable matchup in the next round? or in the playoffs. You don't go into something hoping you lose a game or lose a division. If you have an opportunity to win the division, an opportunity to get a bye, you certainly have to take advantage of that. So my answer to that, Steve, is no. I think if you got an opportunity to win the division and get a bye, you do it. And I wouldn't get too caught up to what we saw in the last couple of years.
Oh, I totally agree. I don't think you play for the wild card, but either the Yankees or the Orioles will 100% be a wild card team. It's a certainty one of them will be a wild card, and we'll see if it benefits them or not. Ross Benjamin, exclusive at WagerTalk.com. And Ross, I'm looking forward to the football season. I know you are as well. You do a great job with the content, the free play videos. Let people know what else you got going on at WagerTalk.
Yeah, I mean, I hit another 5% top play on Saturday, Steve, as I had the San Diego Padres minus 112 over the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Padres just crushed them 13-0. That now makes me 24-9 since February 4th with my 5% top plays, which is good for 73%. Last year, Steve, and I've been with Sports Memo the previous 2 football seasons, but as you know, we combine the records between Sports Memo and Wager Talk if somebody goes like me from Sports Memo to Wager Talk. So last year, I was, if you consider all the 34 handicappers at Wager Talk, I was number 2 overall in money earned in terms of college football, NFL combined. So really looking forward to the football season. And I take pride in that, Steve, because man, oh man, there's some world-class top sports betting experts over at Wager Talk.
Yeah, and look, so people realize, I mean, Sports Memo is the sister site. The difference basically is that people on Sports Memo aren't necessarily exclusive, right? They're on other sites as you were, Ross. And when you move over to Wager Talk, it's exclusive, and that's what Ross has done. But yeah, it's the same rating system, same back end, very same website type of a setup. And Ross has demonstrated even before Sports Memo, as I have also before Wager Talk, that we both win consistently. And Ross, I hope the vibe that you and I had in the NBA playoffs when we were doing daily videos and crushing it on both sites continues into the NFL and college football, my friend. Hey, according to Teddy, also, summer ends in 3 days on Thursday, Ross, August 1st, NFL Hall of Fame game. So I'm going to let you run, get outside, enjoy these next 2 days of summer.
Teddy's a real buzzkill, Steve.
A real buzzkill. Look, I'm filling in for Prez here, so I gotta knock Teddy a little bit on his 1 week vacation in which he is not watching the Olympics. We know that for sure. Ross Benjamin, ladies and gentlemen, and find him daily here on Wager Talk TV, also doing free play videos. Yet another reason to hit subscribe and hit the bell for instant alerts so you know when those videos go live. We're going to let Ross go so he can plug the intercontinental cable back in between Canada and the U.S., and maybe we get the Prez on before the hour is up. But in the meantime, we're going to fill in with Andy Lang, the prop master from WagerTalk.com. And I got to be honest, Andy, I had Ross pull that Canadian U.S. cable cord, internet cord, because I wanted to talk Olympics with you. I was honestly flipping through the 3 networks right now as I was sitting in my office. We got volleyball, we've got gymnastics, we got skateboarding, and this stuff is cool. It's live. It's fun when it's live, especially. U.S. about to win a gold medal in the skateboarding. Not a surprise. Well, a little bit of a surprise. But, Andy, how have the Olympics been for you? We're going to get to some here in a moment for the viewers, but what have been your thoughts so far? How's it been going?
You're muted, Andy.
There we go. Don't make me fill in for you too, Andy.
There we go.
There you
All right,
go.
I think we're good.
You're good.
Yeah, no, no. Well, as you know, Steve, golf is my big sport. Won again over the weekend. Now we got Olympics golf starting this week, but handball's been great. There's some really good teams that you can fade and support. I just put this in our Slack channel. Norway minus 5.5 in the first half against the South Korean team. I can't really put out a ton of handball picks for Wager Talk because they're just not available on all books. But I think this minus 5.5 is available everywhere. This South Korean team is their goalie, Steve, is horrible. There is no way that she has had too much experience playing goalie with handball. Just watching, it's like she's not even close. Her jersey doesn't even fit. It seriously looks like she jumped in at the last second. And Unfortunately, they're going to get pounded by Norway. I'm taking the first half spread because it's Olympics. It's a it's a sprint. It's like you got to put out a lot of energy in a short period of time. So I think
Oh, is she down there
Norway
with them?
really puts
Oh, wow.
really puts their foot on the
fun.
gas. And I think they really get up in the first half, and then they kind of call off the dogs a little bit. The spread for the game is minus 9.5. Just take the first half. If you got team totals, take Norway over. They put up 28 goals against a pretty good Denmark team, and this South Korean team is just absolute fade material. They got a couple good players on offense, but this goalie, good Lord, Steve, fade the South Korean goalie. She is not stopping anything that is shot into the goal. Like it's pretty bad. So yeah, there's your Olympic take. There's a lot of money to be made in some of these sports, but we've been focusing on handball.
Andy, my follow-up is, does the goalie have an OnlyFans account? Because then this becomes a 5% play fade if she does. Or if she's just
by the way,
maybe the baggy jersey,
we cashed that one. We cashed that OnlyFans theory fight.
I didn't check to see what was the result. For people that weren't with us Friday, explain real quick what that play was and what was the result. I didn't see it in the UFC 304.
Yeah, Shauna Bannon was fighting Alice Adderlane, and we said take Shauna Bannon by decision. And yeah, she won by decision. I didn't think it was – one judge gave it to her 30-27. I didn't think she won all 3 rounds. But yeah, it was pretty easy cakewalk. Alice Adderlane has a very explicit OnlyFans and Instagram, and those are the types of fighters that we face. Yeah. She actually she performed decent. Pretty good, but in the end, Shauna Bannon by decision, easy catch.
It wasn't.
It was terrible.
Like you'd said, right? Yeah, and that's
it was a very low level fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, you probably will not have another opportunity to fade her ever again, correct? Because she's going to be OnlyFans only from here on. That might have been the farewell song.
Well, I actually think she is going to get a fight again because they have to sign these fighters to 4-fight contracts. Now, here's the thing: she's going to fight somebody like pretty bad. Like her next opponent's going to be bottom of the barrel. So we'll see. So.
Well, I like this. So, by the way, handball, I'll ask you this question too. Is every Olympics, handball is probably the one sport when I'm watching, I was like, I would love to play that. I've never, and you just don't have it in the U.S., and that's why they're so good over in Europe, because it's a huge sport in certain countries, especially kind of like basketball is here, right? You can go down to the gym and play handball. But team handball, first of all, if you're not an Olympic watcher, Teddy covers, if you're watching, since I know you don't watch the Olympics, it's not hitting the ball like without the racket with your hand against the racquetball court. Team handball is actually, I think, one of the best sports of the Olympics. It's basically a mix of, Andy, of like basketball, soccer, hockey. I mean, it's a little bit of everything. Probably closest to basketball, where you're throwing the ball into with like a volleyball. Your take on that and what sport you would like to play?
Oh man, what sport would I love to try and play? You could get me to try and play some badminton. I would just need to do it kind of like backyard stuff. Oh yeah, where I have a few beers before, go out and play in some flip flops, probably blow out an ankle. I would do that. We were laughing at water polo. Like, how do you find people to play water polo?
I think that looks
like you need to find people that can swim forward and backwards. You need to find people that can also throw a ball a million miles an hour. You also have to find like hockey enforcers, because it's brutally it's really physical. Yeah, and then brutal. Why do they make the pool like 20 feet deep? Like
correct.
Anybody could drown at any time while playing water polo, and that's the one I don't understand, how you find that many people to actually play water polo.
It's such a. No, I was watching it yesterday, and I was thinking, I always think, man, that looks fun. And then they show the underwater camera shot. First of all, the Speedo would be a deal breaker for me. Probably right there, I'll never play for the Speedo. But it is violent. They're pulling them. I mean, that's why they wear Speedos, because if they had trunks on, they'd be ripping the trunks. And then I remember, you have to literally tread water. You cannot touch the entire game. That might be a deal breaker for me. But it's funny you say water polo, because that transitions to team handball. It's basically team handball in a pool. That is team handball right now. That's probably how you could describe it to people. But those are two sports for me. Sports I would never try if you paid me $1 million. I watched the skateboarding 30 minutes ago. These guys are the best in the world. They're still wiping out. I don't know how you even get to that level without killing yourself. That's impressive. Table tennis. I would not do badminton, but table tennis, I'd like to play at a higher level. I was playing some this summer. I've been analyzing that. Gymnastics, I would not touch that. Gymnastics and skateboarding. You can see that there's a theme here. I like the throwing the ball sports. I don't like the sports where you're tumbling around. So that would be my take. Viewers, chime in on the live chat. Steve, let me know. What else do you like, Andy?
Well, I think every 4 years I am in awe. I'm in awe at all these athletes, but the rings. The men's gymnastics, the rings, is the one that just blows my mind. How
Iron
can you
cross.
completely suspend yourself on these hovering rings in midair and then do flips? The iron cross, that blows my mind. Like that is the one where I'm like, that I give up. I wouldn't even, there'd be no chance to hang on to the rings. So
here's my take also what sports you should and should not do. First of all, look at the sprinters, the 1 and 200 meter sprinters. They look like running backs, fullbacks in the NFL, the most athletic looking human beings on earth. And then you get over the mile and you start going to like the marathoners. They look like they haven't had a ham sandwich in 10 years, right? They're the most unhealthy looking athletes in history. My take on the gymnastics, a tricep is 3/4 of your arm. Everyone wants bigger arms out there. It's not Flex Tuesday, but if you want to get your arms, it's either 2/3 or 3/4 of your arm is a tricep. So everyone's doing bicep exercise. You build your triceps. Look at these gymnasts when they're doing those iron cross. Their bicep makes up like 3/4 of their arm. It's like I'm just waiting for a deltoid or a bicep to rip. Yeah, you couldn't pay me enough to get up there on the rings. The pommel horse might be my first hard no, though, if they ask me to do something gymnastically. I can do the ribbon thing when you roll around like Will Ferrell, but I don't.
Yeah, you could accidentally castrate yourself on the pommel horse. Like no doubt about that. We were talking about this on Saturday. I gotta tell you, the one I could do without is the equestrian. Like I like, why are we braiding the hair of horses and then putting a guy in like dominatrix boots and a batting helmet on top of him to jump over like the gates that they have at parking garage? This is not an Olympic sport. Leave the horses at home. Leave the horses out of it. I don't need to watch this one.
And here's the quick answer to that is 90% of the athlete there is an animal. I mean, the rider is
it's
not the main
horse.
Part of that. Exactly.
I could do that one. There's
they need to be putting the medals on the horse.
One,
I would have seen put the medals on Mr. Ed, and Mr. Ed goes, "Thank you, Mr. Ed."
I'll do that one.
Yeah, that's a good call. And the other thing I don't understand too, Andy, is why NASCAR's in the Olympics because they've taken 2 weeks off from NBC. There'll be no race until August 10th in Richmond. Still waiting for the NASCAR.
I'm surprised
that could be in the Olympics.
I'm surprised they haven't done like an Olympic kind of race. Like an off-roading race or even, the go-karts, the super high-speed go-karts. That would be a kind of an interesting thing. But can we talk about some actual Olympic entertainment here?
You've got another Olympic
bets
pick.
Here?
That's what I wanted to get to. You've got a top 10 pick here in the Olympics. So get to that one for me. There we go. There's your golf.
So weirdly enough, Jon Rahm has probably been one of the most profitable golfers I've bet on and against this year. Every event on the Live Tour, you just bet him to finish top 10. He's finished outside of the top 10 one time, and that was when he withdrew with a foot injury. I bet him again top 10 over the weekend, and he won. Now, when he comes over to the PGA Tour, he's been an absolute fade. He moved to Live at the beginning of the year, and he's just looked so out of place trying to play in the majors. He was terrible. But something happened at the Open Championship. He got his confidence back. Steve, when he was at the Masters, he said that it was his first time back at PGA Tour, and some people wouldn't even look him in the face for jumping over to Live. And you can tell it really, really shook him. The Open Championship, something clicked. So 2 weeks in a row, he has finished in the top 10 at the Open Championship, and he's won. That's his first win on the Live Tour. This is only 60 golfers in this field, and this is not the best golfers in the world. This is like they take a few guys from the U.S., and leave the rest at home. There's a few guys from Spain, a few guys from England. So it's a watered down field. And coming off of a win on the Live Tour, coming off top 10 at the Open Championship, I think he fits really, really well on this course. It's a little bit difficult course, so the bad golfers are really going to struggle, and the guys that are playing well are going to play good. I would expect Scheffler, Schauffele, and Rahm to be up there. I think this is a really good price. This price includes ties. It's really important. Make sure you're betting and it includes ties. That way you get paid out on full if he finishes tied with 10th for some other guys. But yeah, I'm kind of in on Jon Rahm, and I've had a great read on him this year. I really have. My record on betting on and against Jon Rahm has just been fantastic, and we cashed again on him. So Jon Rahm, top 10 at the Olympics for sure.
Yeah, and of course, as I said, the whole talk about the Olympics started last week when I mistakenly said there was no golf, because when I was logging all those odds last Wednesday, I didn't see golf for some reason. And that's when you were already off at that point, I think, but Teddy's follow-up was like, yeah, I'm not watching 30 seconds of the Olympics. There's too much football to handicap. I was like, and here I find myself. We've talked more than 30 seconds.
Steve, there's so many units available in the Olympics. I like like I know everyone is, dog days of summer. We're up 38 units in July. Like this is go time, man. This is like right in our alley. Formula One, golf, the Olympics. Like this has been a huge month for myself, my bankroll, clients' bankroll. This is just a great time of year for us. So it does hurt me a little bit when I hear people say there's nothing to bet on and there's no money to be made. Absolutely, there is.
Yeah, and in Teddy's defense, I don't know if he said he definitely didn't say there's no money to be made. He just said he wasn't going to watch it. And I will say, like, I'm not handicapping the Olympics, even though I like it as a sports fan, but you're the prop master. I mean, this is your wheelhouse as the off sports, darts, lacrosse. But you can make an argument, Andy, this is one of the best betting summers in recent history because we had Copa America, the Euro Cup. I know you dabble with soccer as well. We've got golf still going. You've got the motorsports, like you said. And, oh, by the way, football starts here in 3 days on Thursday night. Now, you're not going to have any preseason props, I would assume, on Thursday night of the Hall of Fame game.
I will not.
You will have some football props in the near future within the next month. Andy also covers the UFC. We talked about the winner he gave you here on the show last Friday. That was UFC 304, a big event, of course. Where are they this week? Did I see Dubai? Is that correct? UFC's over there now?
I think it's Abu Dhabi.
Or,
like this,
Abu Dhabi.
It starts like it starts at like 6 a.m. It starts at like 6 a.m. our time. And like this is an early morning one for us. Now they're getting us back because the one on Saturday, Steve, it was crazy. The one on Saturday was over in England, but they started it at U.S. time. By the time that event got done, the English crowd was leaving and like the sun was rising. They were going to go grab breakfast. It was really, really bizarre. But yeah, so we got another weird time, but we got Sam Hughes versus Victoria Dudakova. Steve, I think they got the wrong fighter favorite here. You can get Sam Hughes at plus 150. Dudakova is 8-0 in her career, 2-0 in the UFC, but her first fight she won because her opponent put her hand down and dislocated her elbow in the first 30 seconds. So she gets credited for a knockout win, but really her opponent just had a fluke injury. And then her second fight, she beats Jinyu Frey, who is awful. But she even struggled in that one. She got taken down once. And here's the big thing with her. She is struggling to make weight. She was supposed to fight Melissa Gatto. She had such a bad weight cut. She had to pull out. And when you watch her fight, she's a little bit off balance. Her striking is not very powerful. And Sam Hughes, man, she is a pit bull. She comes forward. Cardio is no issue. She fights as hard in the third round as she does in the first round. And she is always undervalued. She can absolutely get takedowns. Dudakova stands too tall. Sam Hughes can absolutely get her takedown. I go back to 2 fights ago when Sam Hughes fought Amorim. She was an underdog in that one. She out-wrestled her. She outworked her on the feet, landed more volume, and I think that's what she's going to do here. Dudakova is 8-0, and she is so ripe to get beat. And to get Sam Hughes, the UFC veteran who is constantly undervalued, is a steal here at plus 150. I can't imagine that this line does anything except go down. So Sam Hughes plus 150 is the play.
Teddy asked you last week, why'd you think that line was so short on the OnlyFans fade? And you mentioned, well, her opponent's not very good either. I thought that was a good answer. This is something about UFC. It struck me when he said 30 to 27. I forget a lot of these undercard fights. The undercard fights are like 3 rounds versus 5. Obviously, a striker is 1 hit away, right, from knocking somebody out, even if they're the inferior fighter. Grapplers maybe can get someone in a bad position down low, and submit them. How often would you say, Andy, as much as you follow UFC, that the better fighter wins the fight? Now, obviously, at minus 700, it probably don't see a lot of upsets. But when it's under $2 like this, like under minus 200, how much do you think randomness plays a part in like the decision when it's 1 strike or 1 takedown or something? Or can you kind of – is that just washed out in the shuffle in the long run and you just kind of handicap it like it should be?
Well, there's 2 ways to look at it. First off, if you were to just bet every female underdog in the UFC, you'd be ahead. Over the last 3 or 4 years, you would 100% be ahead. Like Molly McCann was
why is that, do you think?
I think judging is you're playing with fire when you have these fights that go the distance. You see these very bizarre scorecards. And if you don't get a finish at a women's fight, now you're asking 3 judges to agree on what they saw, which just doesn't happen. I mean, Molly McCann was a minus 310 favorite. She got beat handily. And so you just take the plus money in female fights. It's really hard to lay juice in female fights unless you got a really, really great angle. But there is an element you kind of have to pick your spots here. But Sam Hughes, she's always an underdog. I don't understand it. Like, she doesn't have a great record in the UFC, but if you were to bet on her as an underdog in every single UFC fight, you would be super profitable. So I would say that the favorites probably money line have a winning record, but betting wise, if you're just blindly bet every single female underdog, you're up. Just because it only takes a few of those, plus 300s or plus 250s to cash, and now all of a sudden, you're doing really well. So female fights, looking at the underdogs, has certainly been profitable.
Yeah, and Jesse Schul just chimed in. Wager Talk exclusive. Jesse Schul says, "Oh, Andy, telling us we can't trust women." Andy did not say that, and you also did not say
I
fight,
said you
right?
can't trust women as a favorite. You trust the underdog. I'm saying the opposite. I'm trusting Sam Hughes. I'm trusting Shauna
Bannon. You said you can't trust female judges. That's basically what I heard in that analysis there. No, you
can't trust UFC judges. You can't trust UFC judges, like all of them. And some of the worst ones are men. Sal D'Amato.
No, it's funny, Andy. I said the one strike knockout, the submit. I left out the biggest random variable is what you just mentioned. It's the scorecard. I see that all the time when I'm watching these fights. And boxing as well. That's what's given boxing some trouble over the years from a betting perspective. But that is Andy Lang, the prop master, UFC, Olympics. By the way, Ray D'Amico says, how about mountain biking? I was watching that live Saturday morning, Andy, and they're going down these little rocks.
Rain.
Well, I didn't see that. Oh, I didn't see the rain.
It poured on the street. The street racing. There was some. There was one really bad accident, but the mountain biking's fun.
Well, that's what I was going to mountain biking was they have these little rocks they go down, and it was single. And then there was a pack of three. All three of them, the second dude bit it head first, and they cut away. It's live. I'm telling some people I'm with, I'm like, oh, we got to see this replay. They never showed the replay. It was like the most exciting moment of the race is like when the guy bit it, and they never – maybe that's etiquette of mountain biking. You don't show the flops because it's a hardcore sport. But, yeah, mountain biking's pretty cool, too. That's one of the newer events. What else you got going on, Andy?
There was a guy in judo that got his arm snapped in half. So if you like gruesome injuries, just look up the judo guy from last night. That fight did not end well.
Do not need to see that.
I was watching it live, so I accidentally saw it. Like it wasn't anything I wanted to see. I was like, why is he screaming? And they're like, oh no, his arm shouldn't bend that way. What do we have up? 5% cross sport parlay of the week is up 28-12. On these. We lost our 5% play last week, but we ended up turning a profit. Olympic sports were a big part of that. Golf was a big part of that. We were 6-0 in our UFC plays. So we got a 5% play that is up right now. Encourage everyone to get that 85 units profit for 2024. And like I said, we're having an incredible July. We're up 38 units. So looking forward to adding to that this week. And it starts with the 5% play. Go grab that wt.buzz/AL, wagertalk.com.
Always great to see Andy Lang. And, of course, Andy and I started our Wager Talk TV careers together 4 years ago this summer with the NASCAR show. And always great to work with him whenever possible. And I say this like a broken record, but if you're looking to diversify your portfolio, because this is an investment, Andy Lang is the guy to go to. He's the prop master. He's doing sports I'm not touching. I'm doing baseball, basketball, and football, and I do quite well. But Andy's doing several other off sports as well. It's just a great way to diversify and add profit to your portfolio. So check out Andy Lang at WagerTalk.com. Check out Bryan, Leonard. Check out Ross Benjamin. Check out the Prez, and check out myself, Steve Merrill. I'll have a baseball best bet for tonight. Also, I put a free play up each and every day, wt.buzz/SM. Abid, great to see you in the chat. He said fade the Public's his favorite of the season. Hey, that'll be up in about a month. Big Daddy, always great to see you as well. Ray D'Amico, Titan CT, Justin P's in there today. So many people to name. Not enough time to do so, but we'll try to do it again tomorrow on Tuesday. The Prez will be back tomorrow on Tuesday. And I'll be in the bullpen. In fact, I'll be in the starting rotation. I'm on first pitch. I'm confusing myself. I get to see Dan Alexander tomorrow. I'm on first pitch at 11 a.m. Eastern talking baseball. So I'll be hanging out afterwards if needed here for Wager Talk Today. But I'll be on Wager Talk Today Thursday here as the first guest. Baseball tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Click subscribe. Click the bell as well. Comment below. We read the comments. What's your favorite Olympic sport? What's your least favorite to watch? I'm going to be checking the comments here after the show and replying back. Enjoy your Monday night. Best of luck, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow on Tuesday.